right, we're back. Judd'z Budz, episode 154. Wayne Gretzky plus Mr. David Yursek.
Sergei Gonchar, baby.
And Sergei Gonchar. As always, your host, Spoke Z, joined by my good buddy, Mr. at State of Hobby. How we doing?
The can opening was not crisp in the mic, but in the camera, the can art will continue to be crisp.
With the flames underneath it, that's nice.
Oh, the flames, yes, that works very nicely. Tourney Flow still available at Lupulin Brewing. Go out there and grab it, people, before it's gone. Fantastic state tournament. We got to lead off with that. Does Kraft have any shot of being like a reasonable draft pick, do you think?
Probably. I mean, there's always at least a couple from this tournament that pop off that we see at some point in the draft.
So, like, are we hoping, like, would second round be a very favorable outcome, or like where do you see a kid like that?
Mid to late rounds, probably. I mean, like,
so like 4 would be reasonable, 3 would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd say so. It is funny. There always is a couple, which is like crazy, just because it is the only place in America that like high school hockey is as legit as it is there. And like you watch the tournament on TV, and then there's a kid from high school getting drafted like a couple months later. It's just crazy. I love that.
It is weird. And
he popped off.
Who was it? I think it was Beach that maybe came out and said, like, dude, with all the shit that's going down out east, like, hockey in Massachusetts is not the same. It's pretty much all academies and private schools now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you start to see kids leave from Massachusetts and Michigan and head over to Minnesota to play high school hockey? Not Shattuck.
I don't know about that, because the prep school.
It's a big stretch.
That would be wild. If the parent was like, we're going to uproot for.
I mean, if you're in the Twin Cities, though, like, Minnesota is like a nice place to live. The winters kind of suck, but you battle through that for the hockey, and then you're there in the summer. Like, it's not bad. It could be worse. Good educations, although Massachusetts is similar, I guess.
Kind of tough to beat the Massachusetts education. Although, I mean, we're doing our best. Apparently,
is the public school education like that good out there? Yeah,
yeah, very good.
I'd be curious to know which one's better. Then that's interesting. Okay, if we're gonna stick on the Minnesota track.
Yeah.
How, from an outside perspective, how terrified should I be right now about the Gophers?
This was such a weird weekend, and like
the worst,
especially because it's Notre Dame, and like what a weird hockey team as well.
Well, dude, so game 1, straight up, I didn't go to game 1 because I always do the semifinal games for the tourney on Fridays. So missed that one and went to Saturday, where they did win. There were still some speed bumps there, but like largely the team looked a lot better on all accounts. And Friday night, like Liam Souliere, I still have full confidence in him, but like he let up a couple softies, and that's ultimately what decided the Friday game. Saturday after the game, though, Kurth was one of the guys available for post-game presser. And they asked him, like, so like what happened last night, man? He's like, best word I can give you is jam. We didn't have the jam. Boys didn't bring the jam. Tonight we brought the jam. I'm like, God damn it, that's awesome. Okay.
I like that.
Tell you what, for all the things that we can argue are going wrong, he has absolutely been going right the last couple of weeks. Like, Kurth is ready to do everything he can to carry the team. Him and Nevers. And granted, I love the reunion of our boy Jimmy Clark with the mutant Matthew Wood and the lunatic Connor Kurth. I think that line should have been together for a long time, but I'm just glad they've been reunited, and I think it's only a positive. And God, would I love to see that line back together in full next year. I think there's a chance it could happen. We'll see. But dude, then Sunday goes the way it went. Fucking Aaron Hughlin, man. That fucking sucks.
That was brutal.
So bad. Like, to have your Gopher career end that way. And I mean, on top of the fact that who knows what the wife's doing at home now, taking care of him and a baby.
I mean, it still blows my mind.
It's pretty gnarly. But man, it sucks for him. Like, and I'll be honest, man, the last 3 years, at the end of the season, whether it's on one of our shows or the shows that all join going into Frozen 4 season, my X Factor every year has been Aron Kiviharju. And he's gone. He's done. There's nothing. And do I think that it's like a loss that you can't overcome? No. Do I think that a lot of people will probably overlook how big of a loss it is? Yes. It's a bummer to lose a guy who literally plays all ends of the ice. Like, he's reliable wherever you need him, and sucks to see a good guy go down like that. But hopefully that's something the boys can rally behind, I guess. I don't know, because right now they're off for 2 or 3 weeks. Then they come back in cold, probably as a 1 seed, probably going up against a low seed that they won't be as excited and riled up to go up against. And we could be looking at the classic Holy Cross, AIC, all that bullshit. And it just makes me so sad with how great of a season it's been to see it all potentially crumble. I'm still keeping the faith. Kind of. I don't know. I believe in the team. I just have no idea what to think of the off time for the next couple of weeks here.
Yeah, and it was I mean, I don't know about you. Like, I watched a good amount of all 3 games, and even on like Saturday, the way that they were playing, I just like, even there were good flashes, there were some not so good. Like, at no point that I was like super calm. I was like, oh, here, like they're about to like take off. It's just, there was just so many speed bumps in the game, and like so many plays that from guys you never see make like those specific mistakes, and you're just like, I don't know what it is, but they can't really generate a whole lot of momentum. And like Notre Dame was just playing 1,000 miles an hour on Friday, and I don't really know what it was. Just it looked like a tentative Minnesota team that I wasn't used to seeing, and it just felt like I was at no point did I feel confident that they were about to like, all right, they just made 3 or 4 good plays back to back to back here. They're about to like pick up some momentum and run with it. Like, it was always just like stop and go. And I don't know what, I mean, and credit to Notre Dame. That's a really well coached team too. But
for 1 more week at least, right? Yeah. Like that is the other thing too. Like, Notre Dame showed up to play, and they're playing for their coach, who is done as soon as their Big Ten run is done. Mm-hmm. So like, something you're going up against, but I agree with you, though. There's a lot of guys who like were very hit or miss throughout the weekend, but there were some guys that I do think like were strong throughout. And the guy that we haven't mentioned, and that I should be giving way more flowers, because he's a guy that like we've tended to be a little bit more critical of just because we expect a lot out of him. But dude, Oliver Moore has been a maniac. The last like 3 weeks, he is going and going and going, and he's only done it more since being thrown being thrown between Snuggerud and Zemer. Like, that should, by all accounts, be your absolute like nail in the coffin, ending the other team line. There's a lot to be desired from Jimmy and Brody, and like, I don't know if you'll find a bigger Brody Zemer fan than this podcast. We love Brody Zemer, but like, he's been off his game. I think he would admit that. I think him and Jimmy, if they're the concerns going into the postseason, I think they can right the ship. It's the other guys where we see like the lackadaisical plays, especially on defense, man. And it wasn't as much this weekend as it was the week or 2 prior, but dude, it's crazy. Like, I was sitting down with Vigo at one of the games, and like, we're talking about a guy like Sam Renzel, and like, he right away is like, dude, just watch, like, ISO cam him and tell me that you don't have concerns. And literally 2 of the 3 goals were scored largely because of him. And it's not a skill thing. It's almost like, I don't want to say effort, but it's just like getting caught in the wrong spot and then not doing what you need to get back and cover for it. Like, it's simple shit that he's got to fix in his game if he wants to be going pro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, maybe it means he's coming back next year. I wouldn't be mad about that. But first half of the year, like Sam Renzel was my Hobie guy. Flat out. I need him to come back and lock in because I know he can. Like, this isn't me like shitting on him and saying he sucks. He's still the best defenseman on the Gophers. I just want to see it more consistently because even if he's on 80% of the game, that 20% is where they're getting to with their goals, right? That's
especially when you play Notre Dame, like games that's when teams like Notre Dame beat you in big games at home. Like that's how that goes.
It sucks. But yeah, and I mean, not the best end to this weekend either, but largely for the season. The only defenseman that I would have looked at before this weekend and said, like, unanimously, like, you have done no wrong and I cannot criticize you is Luke Mittelstadt. Not the best look for him this weekend, but again, that's a guy I have no concerns about bouncing back. So I don't know. We'll see how the seedings shake out, but I am nervous, more nervous than I thought I would be with this squad. I am still like very not like panicking, if that makes sense. Like I'm nervous, but it's not panic. Like I still believe in this team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's like the last couple of weeks or maybe like last month and a half where you've seen some really highs with really high highs and really low lows. Like some of the bad performances have been like legitimately mind boggling.
Yeah.
And like some of those losses have just been like, what the fuck was that? Like, and so it's kind of like, you know, the first however many games, like 15, 20 games, like this is a machine. And I felt like they got a couple injuries. The World Juniors thing happened. Like Matthew Wood, is he here? Is he not for World Juniors? And it feels like I think they went on like 4 or 5 games where they like really played well. And then they'd go on like a 2 or 3 game stretch, like all 3 in a row, where it was like maybe they would win, but it was like not exactly the best performance, or they would just get the shit kicked out of them. So since then, I do feel like it's been up and down. So like, I was so confident knowing what team I was about to watch the first 15 games or so when they were just like lighting it up. Now I'm like, I think the nervousness comes in. It's like, I don't know which version I'm getting.
Oh, 100%. That's where it's all coming from.
Right. And that's why it's like, part of me thinks the 2 weeks off could be all right. But the 2 weeks actually does make me more nervous than not. Because like, especially when it's up and you want to be playing. And I mean, we'll see. I mean, they'll be practicing obviously, and we'll see what like the lines end up looking like here. But I mean, I don't know. I don't love the 2 weeks off for them, but at the same time, maybe it is an opportunity to just like get right.
But with the 2 weeks off, and obviously you don't go into Sunday with that being the expectation, but do you second guess Bob at all for going with Airy on Sunday instead of giving Soulier a chance to bounce back? Mostly because like Airy made some good timely saves, and like, dude, if Airy's the guy going into the tournament, I'm still like, I believe, but like he would have liked to have both of his goals back probably. Like it's not like he played a spectacular performance. I get it. He won. You want to ride the guy that won, but if you think Soulier is your guy, you have to throw him back in for Sunday, don't you? Mm-hmm. Like it just tells me that Bob hasn't decided.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume that's what that means, but at that point, when you're playing 3-3, like he won you the game on Saturday. It would probably even like a more confusing message to both guys if we went back to Soulier for Sunday, but I don't know. I mean, like that was another one too, where it's like we've actually had this conversation where it's like how like you comfortable saying Soulier is the guy, like making a deep run. We've had this conversation before, so it's like clearly like no one fucking knows. It's like I think so. I think so.
I was until that decision. That decision makes me second guess whether Bob is firm on it. I'm personally like I have no reason to not believe in Soulier. And again, I believe in Airy if it comes to it, but Soulier is my guy as it sits right now. And everyone, if you haven't already checked it out by the time this drops, long sit down with Liam Soulier, Nathan Airy, and Coach Brennan Pottersay. Awesome talking to them about just how goalies are freaking weirdos, about like their relationship and how they've managed this tandem throughout the year. There's a lot we get into. Go check it out. Fellowship of the Rink. See, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Which of the 4 teams that are essentially pillars of the vast Sota Pod network, are we hitting on the fan favorite Minnesota Wild? Are we hitting on your Boston Bruins, Isha's Vancouver Canucks, or my Pittsburgh Penguins?
I mean, I think we can start with like the one trade that had both Minnesota and Boston in it, because I think it was very like the players that were traded from both teams. I wasn't super surprised. The package as a whole to me I was like, holy shit, I didn't have this exact trade in my brain as a possibility whatsoever. So I guess we could start there, and then there's not a whole lot more to add for like Minnesota outside of like
your goes,
what it does, like what that makes the roster look like now. Because we've already touched on Nyquist too. So, but yeah, I guess we could start there. I mean, I'll open the floor to you though to start with it. Just like the trade, so Justin Brazeau, and then was it a pick from Boston? I should have fucking wrote this down. I couldn't remember if it was Brazeau and then like a 5th or 6th.
Maybe there was a 6th in there, but I thought it was essentially him for Kuznetsov and Lauko, which felt weird. It felt very weird. Hand up, like, I don't know nearly as much about Brazeau as I probably should. Like, your reaction definitely reassured me a bit that you were like excited for both sides, unless you've been undercover agent this whole time. And like now that Brodin's hurt, you're like, yeah, fuck the Wild. Yeah. It's funny though. The one thing I got to point out, actually, one of our listeners, Roke Talk. Mm-hmm. He tweeted something at Russo about the like worst skating teams in the league, and team skating stats from NHL.com as of March 12th. Minnesota Wild come in at number 28 for like skating across the board. There's like top skating speed, number of speed bursts, like all of this is tracked, and they come in at number 28 out of 32. Which I'm not going to say I'm shocked about that, but his point is like, oh, and this doesn't really factor in that we just sent out our 2 fastest guys and brought in a really slow guy. Mm-hmm. So we're probably the slowest team in the league. Crazy to me. Who do you think that there is a team on this list of 4? Obviously not the Minnesota Wild then.
It's Vancouver.
Yeah, number 32.
Yeah.
How? I would have never guessed that. Never.
I know.
That's insane to me. But yeah, the trade, I think a lot of people are pissed off, rightfully so, about the Kuznetsov piece. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it. Like, he got sent down. Did he, like, just have a big FU match with Bill Guerin over being sent down? And he's like, all right, fuck you. See ya. It feels like it's way too early to just be like, yeah, you're not going to work here. Or do you disagree? Are you seeing something different with Kuznetsov that it's like, yeah, dude, you have no future here?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I wasn't ultra surprised about like Kuznetsov getting moved. And I just pulled up the full trade. It was Brazeau for Kuznetsov, Lauko, and a 2026 6th-round pick. So, but the big thing is what you just mentioned is like the speed factor to me is what was, I'm not going to say mind boggling, but like the 4th line when you had Lauko and Kuznetsov on it. And I mean, at that point, regardless of whoever else you want to throw down there, that was your fastest line, whether like they play a pure north-south game, they're physical, they hit everything that moves. And I mean, the big thing that was missing, obviously, that you really were needing desperately, especially right now, is the scoring piece. The problem for me is, like, if you send both those guys out and you bring in Brazeau, I love Justin Brazeau. He's a big fucking, he's like 6'5", 220, 230. And, like, he can score in limited minutes. But if you don't, like, give him ice time as far as, like, offensive zone ice time, like, I think in the 3 games he's played so far, he's played, like, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes maybe. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, he's getting nothing. He's getting benched in the 3rd period. And I'm like, okay, so now this trade means nothing. But he has 10 goals, 10 assists this year, averaging like anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes. He's played a lot with Marchand and Lindholm. and that's when he's done the most damage. Like, he can play up and down the lineup, and he does not, obviously, he can't play with like super high speed. The skating's like, it's literally just the speed part, but he's like weirdly agile, and he can still beat guys wide. It's fascinating to watch. But he's really good in front of the net. He's got unbelievably sick hands. But like, to me, I just watched the games that he's played so far. He's pigeonholed on the fourth line, 0 power play time, and like, again, almost no third period like shifts. Like, you're just not going to get any kind of value, any bang for your buck when you move out your 2 fastest skaters plus a pick in 2026, like, for just an asset that you probably are not going to use, just judging by like the ice that he's got so far, especially with all these injuries that are like popping up. I don't know how, like, and maybe there's just like no other spot for him right now, but like the idea that he's getting 6 minutes and like no shifts in the third period, not getting any power play time, like, you're not going to get anything from him.
Now, is there something to be said for the fact, like, has he even practiced yet?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, that might just be like he's not ready to be deployed in certain scenarios. Like, I'll reserve judgment, I guess, until he plays a few more games. But I'm with you. Like, if it continues on that track, that's terrifying.
And like, the thing to me is like, all right, so when Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, like all these forwards come back, like, well, then you're like, he's not gonna go. Like, you're gonna take Kaprizov's spot in the fucking first line. Like I don't know what's gonna happen here.
Hang on though, if Kaprizov doesn't come back until like the last week of the season, he won't be ramped up in time for game 1 of the playoffs. So Brazeau might take his spot. Do you know who loses this trade?
Who?
Fellowship of the Rink.
That's true.
Lauko was hurt so many times. You can't get those players on as guests when they're hurt. I guarantee you he was going to end up getting Fellowship of the Rink logo tattooed on him somewhere. And now he's literally just never going to be anywhere except for the rink and Pete's studio. So,
and also shout out Yaka Lauko posted the GIF on Twitter. The Simpsons.
No, Abe Simpson.
Abe Simpson, yeah, that was funny as fuck.
It was incredible. I also wonder if he's just like, "Yo, Pete, what should I post?" And Pete's like, "This." That feels like the relationship they have there. He's like, "Pete, I don't get the culture reference. Just tell me what to post." He's like, "Got you, dude." But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird move. I'd honestly care way more if the team was in a different place and if it was maybe a slightly more meaningful like player we gave up. But again, it feels weird, like Kuznetsov was given up on way too quick if this was like the package that you were working on, right? I don't know.
Yeah, no, and that's the part for me where I was a little bit confused. It was like I had a feeling that and I can't remember if I actually said this while we were recording or if I said this after you. Like, I had heard that like Lauko, it would be like more surprising if he wasn't traded at the deadline than if he was. Like, that was like very much in the works. I did not expect him to come back to Boston. But and then like same thing with like Kuznetsov. I wasn't, not that I heard that he was like getting shopped or anything, but I do think when you look at like his spot in the lineup, prospects that are coming in, he was pretty much pigeonholed to like fourth line center, like maybe third line minutes. He's gonna kill penalties for you, and like you mostly deployed as a defensive forward. But again, like he has the speed factor that like really no one else on your team has. But when I look at like a lot of the profile of the prospects that coming in, you know, there are a lot of undersized, super skilled, high offensive upside guys. And I do think obviously like they want to get some more size. And Brazeau, again, like he has 10 goals this season. There are only 6 other players on the Minnesota Wild with 10 goals. Like he is automatically, he's tied for the 7th most goals on your team.
Kirill Kaprizov has been out for months and he still leads the team in goals, man. What the hell? Like, I'm working on this. I got something that I'll be doing for a hot take in a couple of weeks here, closer to Ovechkin visiting. But like, I literally found the highest scorer for the Wild every season in their existence. And then I took Ovechkin's goals each season and just like to show side by side, like how insignificant the whole Wild franchise is. Like, do we just pack it in at this point? I don't know. But who's Nadinov and like, I don't have a better way to phrase this. Does Huznadinov being Russian, like, is that what doomed all of this? Because he basically came in and had control to say, you're not putting me in the AHL, right? like he's a guy that would have benefited from more AHL time. And I feel like the team wasn't willing to pull the trigger on sending him down until it was kind of a foregone conclusion that Bill was moving him, right? Like, he would have gone down way sooner. Would he not?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, like, I still think like when you looked at his overall upside, or like or not even upside, but like the future in this franchise, it wasn't really ever going to be higher than like a third line winger, like a limited, like in a pinch. He's probably playing fourth line in his, like, essentially his whole career. Maybe like up and down the lineup, you're really even like in a bigger injury-ridden season somehow than this one. But like when you looked at what the guys that you're coming in the future that are profiling as bottom six forwards, you've got guys like Stramel, Kumpalainen, like they're big guys that play that two-way game, like have a little bit of scoring touch, but like they're physical, they're big, they're mean. Like, I think he obviously wants to have that in the future as bottom six. So like, I just have a feeling that plays into it as far as like, you know, who's the deal was going to be here. Well, again, I'm just surprised that you give up that much speed to bring in one player. We'll see if he resigns. Like,
probably won't.
Yeah, and I mean, now that I look at, he came in Friday. There's no way he's if they've practiced. It's been once because they came in Friday. He flew to Vancouver, played in Vancouver for 5 minutes.
Warrior, by the way, for that. Like,
yeah,
from Florida, wasn't it?
Yeah, like it could not have been farther away. But like, he is a great player. Again, like, he was playing mostly with like Marchand and Lindholm. Like, he can play up and down your lineup. He can score in and around the net. Like, and again, for a guy his size, he's got ridiculous hands. And again, like, he does bring you like more scoring upside in your bottom six if he gets the minutes. Like, if you just play him in the neutral zone in like your own end for like 5 minutes a game, like, you're not going to get shit. So we'll see if he, like, as he gets more practices here, you know, and gets more of an idea of like what's a better fit. Like, we'll see if he just like gets some looks up and down the lineup. But I do think as far as like immediate scoring impact, given the minutes, like, you're going to get a plus there. I think it was just the package overall to me that was very surprising. Like, I thought that was way more than I thought the Bruins were going to get for Brazeau. I thought that you get like a third or fourth round pick maybe.
Yep. Now anyone that
being said, great nickname though. Brazzers. It's a phenomenal nickname. That's the one time just having his name with ER at the end is pretty funny. His fucking nickname's Brazzers.
That's okay. Touche.
So we're all in now.
Any Boston fans that may have trickled in here for Z, definitely go check out the Murat Huznadinov highlight reel that we have on the YouTube channel. That'll get you excited. It'll get you feeling like Z does pretty much every night. The number 92, which that's fucking weird. 92 is in the lineup. So, all right, we've decided we're moving off the Wild. Then that's really all there is for deadline talk. We can circle back and talk more about them if we want at some point. But, dude, you've had way too much time to come down from this. So, like, I'm a little disappointed that we couldn't have gotten more raw emotions sooner. But Brad Marchand, go.
Well, I have to take you through the mountain, or the roller coaster, really, of emotions of this deadline for the Boston Bruins. It's been over 10 years since they moved this many significant pieces in season. Like, since 2007, 2008, they've missed the playoffs twice, 15 and 16. And like, even then, there wasn't like they were really doing major sell-offs. So this was the first year we were like, all right, like, and again, I think I said this before the episode we did before the deadline. It's like, I don't think they'll get a ton of like high quantity, high quality assets, but they have enough. If they really want to move pieces, they can get a good amount of like pretty decent chips. And like, as we were going towards the deadline, you know, they moved Trent Frederick. They get a couple picks and Max Wanner, which I thought was a great pickup. Like, you get St. Louis's second in 2026 and Edmonton's fourth this year, and then they move that again for a guy like Henry Jokiharju. 25-year-old right shot D-man in like in the right environment, like a really good transport of the puck, which they have not been able to do ever. But then they make the Brazo deal for Husadinov, Lauko, inject some more, because again, the Bruins were unbelievably slow this year. They went out in the offseason. They were like, we're going to load up for when we have to play the Panthers in the first round. And whoops, became the slowest team I've ever watched play hockey in Boston, and just sucked all year. But Lauko, Husadinov, they bring in speed. And then Friday, I was loving all the moves they made, especially like the Carlo trade. I thought was great. Like you get Fraser Minton, a solid prospect who profiles similar to a Charlie Coyle, we'll talk about in a second. Who's really played well the last couple of years. Like he's really developed his game since he was in Kamloops.
Quick pause. Do you care at all, or give me a 1 to 10 ranking, how much you care about sending a guy to the Leafs?
Actually, I should have done this 1 second to last. Now that I think about it, not that much. It was the timing of it, which was incredible.
Yeah.
But anyway, but even with this one, you get 2026 first, and you get Fraser Minton. I really like that overall. But the Charlie Coyle, you bring in Casey Middlestat, who is a young forward with legit upside. We've seen him like the last 3 or so years really take off in Buffalo, and then since getting to Colorado, just has not worked out for him. But you got Casey Middlestat and a couple picks there for Charlie Coyle. I think that's like an upgrade already. Again, like in the 2 games that Middlestat's played so far, he's got 2 primary assists, which we love. He's looked really good. And they make some more moves, but like then all of a sudden with 10 minutes left in the deadline, it's Carlo to Toronto, Marchand to the Leafs. And it was like, oh, we were all, what did I say?
You said Carlo to Toronto and Marchand to the Leafs.
Oh yeah, I think I just haven't accepted it. But Marchand to Florida was just like, oh. And it was in the last 10 minutes of the deadline. And it was like, I was riding high. I was like, this has been great. It's like Carlo to the Leafs, Marchand to the Panthers. I was like, oh, sweetie was just waiting. He just wanted to impale us.
He's got to, he can't tear you down unless he's built you up.
Mm-hmm. But the thing with Marchand, the one thing I really don't like about the Marchand move, it's just as far as like analyzing the trade, was like we all knew that like the value was severely diminished because there's no guarantee he even plays before the playoffs.
Right.
But the fact that there's 2 conditions on this pick, I really don't like.
There's 2?
There's 2 conditions on this pick.
Okay, I guess I get what you mean.
And like there's a pretty good chance that neither one of them even happen. First condition being they have to make it to the second round.
No, third round.
Yeah, right. They have to win 2 rounds, and he has to play 50% of the games. That being said, if he doesn't, then whatever. Like,
you know what though? I feel like that's a like mixed bag of like if he does actually come back and he's healthy, I think they got a pretty good shot of being in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I mean they loaded up.
That first round, like we'll get into it later, but like we could have the dream set up for matchups in round 1, like to the point where I might just watch the first round and then be like done with postseason hockey. Like it's gonna be so good. But you have been very forthright about this on socials, even to the point of correcting one Johnny Lazarus as he joined Merrick on the sheet. Talk about the emotions. Brad Marchand correcting himself from saying we to the Bruins.
That was the whole press conference was an absolute gut punch. I mean, at one point he starts obviously like getting really emotional and like had to take a minute. But then he starts talking about the rivalry, and he was like, obviously he started getting like he's talking about the Panthers, and he's like, they last couple of years bounced us, but the correct way was, bounced the Bruins like in the first, like it literally, like I sunk. I was like, that was the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't know why, but that specifically just absolutely crushed me.
Yeah, where does he
horrible?
Where does he rank for you as far as like Bruins that you like ride or die with, right? And that's not like I don't want it to come off wrong, right? Like there's a ton of guys that you fucking love as Bruins, but I know Z is like your 101, but like where does Marchand fall in that greater group of like all-time Bruins for you?
Oh, he's top 5 easy. I mean, he's like
Is he top 3 though? That's really that's
Probably.
where I draw the line. Because I know who your top 2 are. Who's number 3?
I don't know if you do.
So you're telling me that it's not Z and Bergie?
It's definitely Bergeron, but Marchand might be too. Like, I will never say a bad word about Zdeno Chara. He turned the franchise around when they were like really fucking in a shithole when he first came in.
He was an Ottawa Senator at one point. That's one bad thing you could say about him.
Right. No, I love that though. Sense it goes. But Marchand, like, up until 4 days ago, career Bruin, wanted to be a career Bruin.
Okay, but let's get into that because, like, we got kindergartners like Mikey Grinnell throwing temper tantrums. He said, like, oh, if Marchand wants 8 or 9 mil for the next 3 or 4 years, give it to him. No questions asked. Like, do you agree with that? Okay. Do you think that his ask of roughly, at least my understanding of his ask, roughly 3x7?
Mm-hmm.
Do you give that to him, no questions asked, or is that a little rich for your blood with his age, the injury, all of it?
I do that, no questions asked.
Okay.
Part of me,
the term helps a ton. If he was saying he wanted 5 or 6 years, I'd tell him to fuck off. 3 years, it's just weird. It's tough, right? Because it's the wrong perspective, but it's still hard to look past. He's getting a pay raise when he is not getting better. If that, like, does that mean that you shouldn't give it to him? Not necessarily, but I can understand where, like, it's really hard to, like, look at a guy. It's like, all right, you're literally on the last stretch of your career and you want to make more money than you made this year? I don't think so, Brad.
I would still look at it, though, percentage of the cap.
Sure. Nope. And that is the obvious argument. And I
like
understand
3x7 compared to when he signed that 8x6.25, which is, I mean, what a ludicrous bargain he's been since.
At the time, people questioned it though. They're like, is this gonna work out? And like within a year, they're like, oh nope, this works.
Like, oh, he's like a $9-10 million guy. Okay. And he's like one of the biggest rats on the planet, and like the personality's fucking yeah.
So I mean, let's get into that, dude. Now that he's gone, and let's be real, like, people want to say that Florida is your biggest rival. No, I think Florida, like, ruined this iteration of the Boston Bruins. I think they, like, destroyed the dynasty, if we want to call it that. But you don't hate Florida as much as you hate Toronto or Montreal, do you?
Probably right now, probably. Like, the series against Toronto, like,
would you be more upset or less upset if Marchand went to one of those 2 Canadian squads?
Montreal's been pretty irrelevant for so long now that, like, I don't like that. I'm telling you, that rivalry is pretty much dead.
They could sneak in.
They could. I mean, we haven't even got this far. We haven't got this far yet. Like, of course, the first 2 games the Bruins play after, like, just ripping the Band-Aid off, they go down and they kick the shit out of the Lightning 4-0. Like, legitimately outplayed them the entire game. And then last night was Florida, Boston. Of course, Florida's here. It was 60 minutes of absolute fucking anarchy.
Yeah.
Nikita Zadorov, who has been, I don't care how bad he's been all year, he still is such, like, a heartbeat guy. And, like, in the media, he's like, he will answer questions for 30 minutes after his worst performance every fucking game of the year. And, like, I love the fact that he's been leading the league in PIMs, like, only fighting like 6 times. Like, he's just getting, like, game misconducts. He's, like, living in the box, like, double minors. Like, he's just living in the penalty box this season, doing nothing. And, like, but last night he plays unbelievable the whole time. Gets 1 dog shit penalty called against him. And then at the end of the game, first of all, they were outplaying Florida pretty much the whole time. And, like, the third period was all Boston. They erased that 2-0 deficit, come back and win 3-2. Another assist for Middlestat. Zadorov gets an assist. And then Bennett cross-checks Zadorov in the face.
Dude, that
and Zadorov, like, that was, like, he has had a few games this season where he's, like, full snapped. He was like, finally. And just hit the eject button, did not give Bennett a chance, and he just walloped him to the point where right before the last blow that took him down the ice, Sam Bennett turned around and grabbed Pasternak in Pasternak's face. Like, he's like, yo, what the fuck, bro? And I tweeted the video out and I tweeted the screenshot. It's so funny.
The meme was so good.
Oh, it was so good. And
Always Sunny.
yeah, that was Claire, my friend Claire. Great tweet. Absolute banger. But of course, like the refs have Zadorov on the ground. Bennett's trying to get back at him, like punching through the refs. Zadorov tries to get back up and fight him again. And then he starts giving it to the crowd, and the place goes nuts. The camera goes in on Zadorov's face. And he's like, fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, bitch. He's screaming. It's like,
sorry, language barrier.
And then he said one very bad word on his way off the ice that I won't repeat.
Oh.
But like, it's been such a miserable season in Boston. Like, I don't expect people to feel bad for the Bruins, but it's been legitimately painful to watch night in, night out for 65 fucking games. Like, at no point have they been good this year. That game may have just got Zadorov. I know. May have just got Zadorov a fucking statue outside the building.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was like, we're fucking back, baby. The building was rocking. And it was like, we have never had this all this year. But it was just like, it was insane. But like, much needed. Like, we were going to see if they were just going to roll over the rest of the year. Clearly they're not. Like, they're fighting, like both games are fighting like 3 or 4. Like, it's like there's been chaos and it's like fun to watch again. But like, I started that like the ripping the Band-Aid off. I do still wonder if that was more of the intent with like, I'm sure obviously, like, yeah, if Marchand was like, I'll come back on a 3x3, they were like, oh, okay, yeah, well, no shit, obviously. I do wonder if they were just accepting the fact that they needed to turn the reins over to Pastrnak, McAvoy, and Swayman. Like, those are your foundational pillars at all 3 positions. The one thing you're still missing is that number 1 center, obviously. And I mean, the last couple of years, they've just been hanging on to it.
Like, but do the metaphorical reins need to be passed? I gotta imagine those guys are more bummed that he's gone than they are like, oh, I've got the reins.
Oh, well, for sure. Yeah, you're always going to be bummed when Marchand goes. But like, at the same time, at some point, someone's going to have to be the guy in the locker room. I mean, it's been him, Bergeron, and Zdeno Chara since 2007. Like, that's just how it's been. Like, you've always had those guys there, and now it's time to turn it over to these young guys. So I would still wonder if that was more of the intent than anything else. Because I mean, 3x7, I think it was like 7-2-5. Like, that's nothing. So it sucks that he's not here. He might be number 2 all time, just as far as like how he carried himself, how he like he is a legend. Like, he will always be, obviously, but like, he's just like the epitome of like when they won the cup. That's the identity of like everyone's favorite Bruins teams. Was just like that version of like that team, and he embodied that his whole fucking career. His rookie year, he lit it up that playoffs too. He was fighting in that playoff series. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. So now that he's in Florida, he'll be playing in games presumably at some point.
If he plays with Tkachuk and Bennett, oh my god! And also great. It was phenomenal.
All-time sicko line.
It was phenomenal in his first press conference with Florida. They were like talking. They like brought up Bennett, and they're like, "So how's that gonna be?" He's like, "Yeah, still a rat." No, what do you say? Oh yeah, he's still a scumbag. I was like, God damn it, he's bringing his humor too. Like, this sucks. Like, he's so good at every press conference. Dude, Steve Simmons was there from Toronto, and he asked him a question. Marchand was like, "What are you doing here, bud?" He was dying laughing. He goes, "Oh,
hey, how's Mitch's dog? Was he worried he was going to have to pack him up and ship him out to Carolina?" Or
so good.
But
either way, it's just such a gut punch, dude. And like, now that's the last piece of like any of the old Bruins teams that we had. Like, it's gone.
Yeah, that's true. And it's crazy how much that like team that broke the regular season record is 90% gone. That's like insane that it turned over that quick. Shout out Florida Panthers. Is this the biggest lunatic sicko line that has ever been created in the NHL? If in fact Brad Marchand does play with Bennett and Tkachuk?
I mean, it's gonna be. The first shift is gonna be like they're gonna be competing with each other to who can be the biggest piece of shit for 30 seconds. Like,
Their first shift will be more watched than that first 9 seconds of USA Canada.
It's gonna be insane.
Very insane.
But yeah, I mean,
Oh.
it's just crazy. Of course, it was Florida, and of course, that trade happened along with Carlo to Toronto in the last 10 minutes of the deadline. And poor fucking Brandon Carlo has to fly immediately to Colorado to play the Colorado Avalanche with newly acquired Charlie Coyle, Brock Nelson, and like they are all like at that point they were on that like 5-game win streak. Oh my God, would that be a miserable first game? I mean, the cool thing is Carlos from Colorado
and altitude.
At altitude, that's the thing. First shift, he got scored on 30 seconds into his Toronto career. It was unbelievable. He's poor bastard stuck with Morgan Riley's corpse. Dude, the first shift, it was just like, oh my God. And like Colorado worked them. It was a miracle they only scored 7 goals. But then he goes and he plays the most of any player on the Leafs. His first game at altitude against Colorado.
There's something on your desk you keep knocking and it like
it's the microphone bouncing.
Yeah, it's so I need your honest opinion because I hear about it nonstop. Remove maybe like 1 year past your Stanley Cup in 2011. Have you given like a second thought to the Vancouver Canucks as a rival of Boston?
Only for like 2 years.
2 years. Okay. Isha still to this day curses the Boston Bruins for what they did in 2011. It haunts him. He'll never get over it. But easy transition over to Isha's team. What the fuck are the Canucks doing?
Yeah.
What is going on? It is absurd.
I'm gonna pull up what they look like now because I was like,
dude, fuck what they look like now. You can pull that up. How do you as a GM decide that your one trade chip left you're not going to send out and you're going to ruin any chance of re-signing him in the offseason when you basically go out and tell everyone how much of a worthless piece of shit he is because you couldn't get any meaningful offers for him?
Yeah.
What a weird fucking move.
Like, and it wasn't just like, oh yeah, we just didn't like obviously we wanted to keep him anyways unless we're going to get blown away with an offer. We didn't get blown away by any offers. He went out and said, you wouldn't believe if I told you what we were getting offered, you wouldn't believe it. I was like, are you out of your mind?
That's it though. Like he could have come out and been like, you know what? We just didn't get the right deal. You know, we're going to ride with this. Brock's more valuable to us here, trying to make a push for the postseason. And, you know, we're hoping that we can convince him to come back. No, you wouldn't believe the dog shit trades that people offered me because Brock Besser's a loser. Like, come on, man. So now, like, Wild fans should already be, like, just counting down the days until Brock Besser's announced as a member of the Minnesota Wild. Like, dude, the vibes Hankinson gave Joe and I when he was a guest, it's like, oh, shit, like, yeah, maybe he is going to be the Wild. I don't know. But it's insane that they did that on top of the fact that they're like the moves they've made in general have just been confusing to me. And now, like, dude, deadline's passed. They, I guess, leading up to the draft, they could move Elias Pettersson, but they're pretty much stuck with him once his move protection kicks in this summer. Like, them getting rid of JT Miller instead of Elias Pettersson. Woof.
I don't know, because even on the face of like, I refuse to give up on like Elias Pettersson. Like, he's still so young. Like, we've seen his ridiculously good upside.
But JT Miller is clearly a gamer, and him being gone hasn't positively impacted Elias Pettersson at all, except for when he plays the Minnesota Wild. Like, I don't know. They've made a lot of weird moves. It feels like they're getting worse. This is a team that, like, last year, I thought they were a real problem. They have quickly removed themselves from that equation. GM Jim Rutherford.
Yeah, I mean, again, like in totality, though, you look at like what they did bring in for JT Miller. Like, I really like getting
okay move. I
getting
love
Heedle.
Yeah.
Love Heedle, and I think that first round pick is going to be pretty like high upside too, just because the Rangers are just such a shit show. They still are terrible.
Yeah, he's their only good player. Is Adam Fox dead?
Oh, I mean, actually, I guess they flipped that for Marcus Pettersson, re-signed Pettersson. So, what?
That's right. No, I said, is Adam Fox dead? Half joking,
basically.
Yeah. Really, Besser was the only reason that I felt like we had to address the Canucks. Like outside that, they're kind of
doing it. Like it's just they didn't do anything except shit on their like favorite player. Like I don't know. But yeah, it's shocking. It took about 5 minutes for that quote to come out before a new quote come out that was like, yeah, fucking Hankinson is pissed. I was like, oh, is he? No shit.
Oh, as pissed as a Midwesterner can be.
Yeah.
It's more like, oh, sure, you think you want to kick Brock to the curb, eh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just weird.
Let's go then to the Pittsburgh Penguins. My squad. I want you to start because I have very defined opinions on this, but I want to hear you just overall opinion of how they navigated the trade deadline. Go.
I thought it was all right. I mean, like, I was surprised. Well, I was curious to see specifically what they were going to do with Rickard Rakell. He's having such a ridiculous year as far as I think when he, at least at the start of this year, it was like, yeah, I mean, like, he's going to be playing with like Crosby, Melt, whatever. Like, he's going to, have a pretty decent year. I don't know if he'll ever like sniff 30 goals again. I mean, he's still young enough. That he could. He's going to be playing with Sid, but like, I was curious to see if they were going to get blown away by an offer for him and like make a big move. But I mean, I don't know. Like, you bring in a couple assets, you flip Luke Shen. Like, that was I don't know what the fucking Nashville was doing. Like, that was a weird one. Get rid of Tommy Novak.
What was Nashville doing?
Tommy Novak? I mean,
I love Tommy Novak.
We'll take that all day, dude. I wasn't overly shocked though. Like, I had a feeling that was what their deadline would kind of look like. Like, they were never going to
trade though. Awful, absolute fail in every sense of the word by Barry Trotz.
What
a joke.
Mind blowing. I was like, wait, what? I think Tommy Novak should be a nice little piece, obviously.
I'm a Tommy Novak guy. I love him.
And then you bring in Luke Shen, you flip him first, and like, what was it? The
second?
Yeah, they're getting a second round pick for Luke Shen for that's great.
And like, Winnipeg was working on that same deal with Nashville. So like, what the fuck? That's mind blowing. So my stance, man, it's weird. Like, I give the biggest pass and the biggest fail, and it's on flip sides, right? If I'm grading the moves that were made, A+. I think Kyle Dubas was masterclass in what he got back for his assets that compared to what their actual value is. Grading the moves he didn't make, F. When you see what fucking Seth Jones returned, you could.
Yeah, that was the one that
for Erik Karlsson, who is, I'm sorry, like, if you guys want to say that I'm biased, fine. Like, I would rather have Erik Karlsson than Seth Jones, no question. Especially like for a team like Florida, that way more fits the MO. Like, throw him with Forsling, you're set. But him not moving, and like you said, Rickard Rakell not moving, big problems for me. Because right now, you're supposed to be going in a downward spiral for this season. They're on a couple game winning streak. What the fuck is happening here? They're supposed to be a top 5 pick. And
of course, Carlson's son Knipe, the OT winner.
Right, dude. I've for a long time admired Rickard Rakell from afar. I was happy when they traded for him. He is at peak value. And the only way you'll get me on board with them not trading him right now is that the offers truly did suck, a la Brock Besser. But I gotta think there were teams out there that were itching to give you something. Or if you think the market's going to be better this summer and you want to make a bigger deal at that time, fine. If he's traded before next training camp, I take it all back. But I really thought him and Carlson were going to be getting big returns based on what some people were paying to get players moved. So very disappointed that neither of them were moved. I would have been totally content if one of them got moved for a solid return. Neither of them moving, big problem for me. But the moves that were made, loved them. Mm-hmm. So hard for me to like be too upset. Like overall, I'm giving a thumbs up, but if they can't move either of those guys this summer, I'm going to be pretty skeptical.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, no, I 100%.
All right, well, let's talk where do we want to go from here as far as like the trade deadline? Do we want to talk about like teams we think like dominated, GMs that we think absolutely blew their load besides the Vancouver Canucks having that dumb press conference? While you think about it, delicious beer from our friends at Barrel Theory, Bound by Purpose. Again, it's just another delicious IPA that's basically like drinking a better tasting orange juice that gets you drunk. This is 7.2%. Here we go. Z, where do we want to lead in here? Do we want to go positive, negative, weird?
Ooh.
We can go weird. That seemed like it really like.
Oh, that was me being like, oh, do I want to start positive or finish positive, you know? Why don't we start positive, I guess?
All right. Well, it depends on what you mean by positive too. Is it for the team or for players? Because the one weird one. Okay, we're strictly team. I think San Jose Sharks got to be pretty freaking happy. Mm-hmm. We got the second iteration of the masterclass that was. Oh man, why can't I think of his name now? Johnny Gaudreau's best friend in Columbus now. Why can't I? Why am I? Monahan, yes. Montreal getting a first to take him and then trading him for a first will never be beaten, but the Jake Wallman move came damn close. Getting a second to take him and then shipping him off to Edmonton for a good return. Bravo. Mm-hmm. I think that was brilliant. But on the flip side, I guess they win that one, like running away. They also kind of lose. There were two players that I thought might cry this week besides Brad Marchand. One of them was Slippery Pete because his boy Zetterlund got sent away, and I don't understand why. I don't understand what the rationale was for moving him out. Do you?
What was the asset that came back? I wish I had all these up, but like in totality, like because I have like the list of guys that went out, the guys that came in.
Yeah. Let's see. He was. All right. Ottawa Senators have acquired forward Fabian Zetterlund, forward Tristan Robbins, and a 2025 fourth-round pick from the San Jose Sharks in exchange for forward Noah Gregor, forward Zach Ostapchuk, I don't know, and 2025 second. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you do that every time. Zach Ostapchuk, legit prospect. Well, I mean, he can play now. Big boy that can move. He's got some skill, and he is a mean motherfucker.
So you think he's the reason that this deal makes sense?
Yeah, I mean you flip Ostapchuk for Zetterlund every time. Like I love Fabian Zetterlund. He was playing really well in San Jose, and obviously was Slippery Pete, like best buddies. But Ostapchuk, a young player, some decent upside, plays with serious fucking grip, but has that skill. And he started to really piece together this year playing in Ottawa. And then I mean Noah Gregor, another like mid to late 20s, I think, center, can play. But and you bring in a second round pick, like, yeah, to me that makes a ton of sense.
Snopchuk, I don't know shit about, so that's where my confusion comes from. So, all right, fair. On the flip side, though, for the Ottawa Senators, being on the receiving end, Brady Tkachuk is not okay.
Yeah, that was sad. That being said, though,
crazy to be that, like, I'm not challenging his sadness or his emotions, but it's like wild that he's that upset, and it's like, oh shit, you guys definitely won this trade too.
Dude, and like their deadline, I give a hard A. Like, I mean, that Cousins move. Wow.
What the fuck is Buffalo doing?
I have no clue.
Which have you heard the rumors now from one Biz Nasty that Rasmus Dahlin is basically saying, like, fix this fast or I'm gone?
I love the immediate reactions like that from people. It's just so funny where it's like, all right, and this guy's like, fuck off. Well, I mean, there's like 5 guys on that Sabres team that are like, I love being in Buffalo, I want to stay here forever. It's like Alex Tuck, Jordan Greenway, like Jason Zucker, like maybe a couple other guys, but like they were all working on extensions. And then Alex Tuck's like, I fucking am from here. I love this. I'll never leave.
But also, like, Greenway, where else is he gonna go?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're gonna give me $4 million a year to hang out here? Okay, I'm in.
Yeah. The thing that's crazy to me though is like. Like Josh Norris, I love him. He's a 30-goal guy if he can stay healthy, which has not been something that he's been able to do for the last 3 years. And I mean, like Jacob Bernard Docker, like it's a different kind of defenseman for them. Like not like a super high offensive guy. I've never been the biggest Bernard Docker fan in the world, but I get why like he's a solid defenseman. But the fact that they also like Ottawa also gets a 2nd-round pick in 2026. Was confusing to me. I don't know how they ended up with another pick. But bringing in Dylan Cousins, who's locked up to that contract, who like we've seen flashes of like for the 15 minutes that Buffalo was good. I mean, he's another guy with like legit top 6 center upside. Plays his bag off game in, game out. Like, I mean, he's fun.
Except for when his captain's getting his wheels beaten.
I would say he probably at that point was like, I've done this so many times. I've already like
business decision.
Garnett Hathaway like already broke my nose when I was already losing by like 5 with 2 seconds left.
Dude, it was crazy. I know you listened, but like when we had Russo on Fellowship of the Rink, and he like he's swooning about like all the pauses about Cousins. He's like, oh, except he got the fuck beaten out of him by Garnet Hathaway. Holy shit. He hasn't really looked the same since. So maybe, you know what? Ketchup and onion?
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, the Tuckers are kind of fucked up. Like, that's basically what he did. Mid-answer.
But I mean, and like, dude, the games that Cousins played in Ottawa, he's been nasty. Like, it was such a good trade overall. Again, like obviously Norris, like he's with that like crew of guys, the young forwards down there, like they're all best friends, and it sucks to your best buddy to go. Like we saw Brady Tkachuk's emotions after. But I mean, the trade overall is a home run. And I do not know what Buffalo is doing unless they are really banking on the fact that like their medical team is actually really good. Keep Norris healthy. And again, you bring in Bernard Docker. We'll see what happens with those other defensemen that they have there. Like, I don't know. He's a different profile of player as far as like their D-men go. So, I mean, like, I get bringing those guys in, but as a package for Cousins and giving up a 2nd-round pick and then like whatever. Dennis Gilbert, like, I mean, whatever. Gilbert.
Do teams care about 2nd-round picks if they don't have Judd Brackett on their staff?
Well, the thing that's crazy to me is it's a 2026 2nd-round pick, which is significantly more valuable than 2025.
Yep. No, that's fair. This might be a touch aggressive, but I think most Buffalo fans would be on board. How far are we from Gary Bettman stepping in and basically saying like, yo, Pagula, you got to sell this team. Like this isn't working. Like they'll always be like fine enough financially because, like, dude, it's crazy how great of a hockey market Buffalo is, and the fact that they've just gotten absolute dick from the owner. And it probably doesn't help that the Buffalo Bills are doing so damn good. So why the fuck would he care? But he's just like, he meddles. He's got his hands way too deep into things that are happening, even though he's very removed from the day to day. It's the owner's the problem. Mm-hmm. When does the league step in and try and fix it? Or do they not care because whatever, Buffalo will continue to exist and keep on fueling Stanley Cup championship runs with a player they send out at the deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, because there were a stretch where it was like Kevin Adams, oh, that's like a bunch of really good moves. Oh, look at that. And then like the last couple of years, it's been like, okay.
I don't think it's Adams though, dude. I think some of these things are like firmly being decided by Pegula. Like whether it's guys he can't trade or guys he needs to trade. Like I think the Cousins thing was very much a directive from Pegula being like, we got to do this now.
Think so?
Why else do you make the move this quickly? Like Kevin Adams isn't saving his job by making this trade.
Right.
It just feels very forced. Like this is a deal that should have been done this summer and you could have had more suitors. You could have gotten a better return. It feels weird.
Yeah.
The timing and the return are both very weird to me. And if those were Kevin Adams decisions, then yeah, maybe he's not fit for the role. But I feel like he's there as the GM because he and Pegula have a good relationship. And I think Pegula knows that he can basically dictate terms as long as Kevin Adams is at the helm. And right. I don't know, man. I feel for Buffalo Sabres fans. I really do. And like, I like a lot of pieces on their team, man. I think there's a lot of teams out there that would be like, if I could take their top 5 guys and swap them for my top 5 guys, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Right. Yeah, I mean, either way, dude, regardless of where that decision came from, it's a home run for Ottawa, big question mark for Buffalo, but like just focusing still on Ottawa. I mean, like, and we had just mentioned the Zetterlund trade, and I do like that for San Jose just because you get like a couple pieces plus the pick. And like the thing is though, like Zetterlund and Ottawa makes so much sense when you factor in like that, like the only guy with more 5-on-5 goals, I think, on Ottawa is Stutzla.
Sick.
And like, so I think I should have pulled it up, but Zetterlund had like, I think, what does he have, 17 goals this year? I think only 2 aren't at even strength. Plus he like hits everything that moves. He plays super quick and he's like way cheaper, like in totality, as far as like when you have to like re-sign guys like Ostapchuk, and a couple other contracts will be coming up soon. So like just a major home run all around for Ottawa. And like, I really need those sickos in the playoffs. Like that barn will be rocking. There's so much positive vibes this year.
Take it one more step. Not only do we need them in, who do we need them facing round
I
one?
need a Leafs, Ottawa, first round, Ottawa Senators, a.k.a. Canada's team. Leafs fans always get so mad at me when I say it, and that's one of the reasons that I'm an honorary sicko, is they love when I say that.
There is no, like, Ottawa could go in and get swept, and, like, no one's really that upset, right? Well, if it even goes to a game 7, regardless of who advances, Toronto is melting. It's the best of every world for us. Plus, one of my biggest winners for this deadline, Mitch Marner. Guess what? He has the Toronto Maple Leafs by the fucking balls. He has all control. He's
getting moved.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, I don't think they're gonna. So here's what I think
they're gonna overpay him, and we're gonna laugh.
Well, from the guys in Toronto that I've listened to, like, they're under the impression that Toronto's very frustrated, given the fact that they've pretty much offered him right around what he's asking for.
But how can they offer him if he's not talking? He said, "I don't want to talk contract this year."
I think this has been going on for like a year, where like at some, even the middle of this season, like
No, but I'm saying he came in this past summer and said, I'm not talking contract.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see what the agent isn't going to be like. Yeah, no, we've been talking every day.
They haven't. He also has an agent who loves when his players reach for agency.
Yeah.
So, like, even if he comes back, they're going to go out and be like, oh, these teams are going to give us 15. You going to give us 13? Thanks.
Yeah. It was crazy that it was like, that was the piece that potentially they were like, we can get Rantanen with like Marner plus whatever.
Yep. Asking him to waive. Dude, what I need is for him to go wherever he goes. You know what? Let's call it Utah. I want him to sign as a free agent in Utah. And I want Brad Marchand to sign there as a free agent too.
Best buddies, dude.
Best buds ever. Okay. The flip side, though, the real reason that I need Toronto, Ottawa, beyond the fact that would be incredible to watch those fan bases go at each other, it means we get Florida versus Tampa, which could be a colossal matchup. Because, tell you what, man, there are two teams that I am circling a million times for coming out of this trade deadline notedly better. Tampa's my 1B. I loved that move. You and I have talked before. You know how much I love Oliver Bjorkstrand. We've seen how Yanni Gourde fits there. They could be real fucking fun. They could be a real fun postseason team if we get even like 85% of what Andrei Vasilevsky used to be. Oh, baby. Could be real freaking fun. What did you think of that deal?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like the second I saw the Bjorkstrand to Tampa, I was like, of fucking course.
Although, like, we said it when it happened, though, dude. That deal to get him out of Columbus and into Seattle was also laughable.
I was infuriated, like, because for years in Columbus, this was the point where like Huberdeau was still in Florida, and it was like, well, we can't call Barkov the most underrated player in the league, and then like Huberdeau hits 100 points, like Huberdeau's the most underrated player in the league. I'm like, who is like, have you like what? It would piss me off. The real answer, the most underrated player in the league was Oliver Bjorkstrand forever. Like he is forever so nasty.
The guys that I said 3 years ago, Z, when we started doing this together, it was Rupe Hintz, who at the time was underrated. Braden Point, who at the time was underrated. That flipped pretty freaking fast, but still. Nikolai Ehlers and Oliver Bjorkstrand. That was my list of 4. Those are actual underrated players. Now, would I say that Point and Hintz still are? No. They've graduated from that list a couple of years ago. But Ehlers and Bjorkstrand are both in my top 5 list easily for underrated forwards in the NHL. And the goal scoring that he's going to bring to that middle 6, it's not fucking fair, dude. It's not.
It's not fair.
And I love how like draft picks are just like don't exist in the world of Tampa. Like I think that's very fun that they acknowledge like, hey, if we're going to go deep in the playoffs, this pick really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they're right.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, it's so fun though. That is a very fun way to go about your business. Who wins in that series?
Florida.
Even without Ryder Ritchie Ekblad for the first 2 games?
Yeah. Oh my God. What do you think? So what is it? 20 game sussy. The NHLPA is repealing or repeal. They've decided that it's been repealed.
Did Florida know this was coming? Was that part of the motivation to move on Seth Jones, or did they do that and they're like, thank fucking God we did that?
No, I think it's a thank fucking God we did that because that was lining up so well from like you could take Kulikov out of the top 4, like Seth Jones, you bring him in, he doesn't have to play 27 minutes a night, like he fixes your first power play, like you know, and like what his strengths are fit very well with Florida's.
Not as well as Erik Karlsson, but
yeah, it's fine. So I think it's definitely a thank fucking God we went out and got Seth Jones type thing. We'll see if I mean, like, as always, NHLPA appeals. I think that's what I saw today. We'll see if it stays to 20. But either way, I mean, he'll be in the playoffs. So
as long as they're not repealing, we're good.
yeah, they've decided they've repealed it.
That'll be a fun series, though. Like, depending on how they both look down the stretch here, like, I might go Tampa. I don't know. It's tough. Okay, well, there's two incredible series. The other one that's almost a lock to happen. Let's go across over to the Central. The best series of the opening round is going to be Dallas versus Colorado, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, take the like on ice piece out of it. Okay, I want pure like emotions and vibes. Rantanen being in Dallas, does that help Dallas more? That like, hey, we got the guy away from Colorado, haha, fuck you guys? Or does it help Colorado being like, fuck you guys, taking our boy? Like, who's riding the vibes higher off of that? Like, who is using that to fuel them?
Dallas. I mean, like,
yeah.
But to me, it's like the crazy part to me was just the fact that, like, from what we had heard coming into, like, right before he ultimately got dealt the first time to Carolina, like, this is what he ended up signing for in Dallas. I mean, like, maybe it's like the state. Well, no, Carolina doesn't have state tax either, right? Fucking do they?
Actually,
yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. But like, was it 12 and a half or 12?
They offered him more. 12 from Dallas is what I saw. 12.
Yeah. But and like,
I can
that's
this one
from what we had heard. Like, that was right around what everyone else is offering him too.
No, it's not.
Maybe not Carolina.
Carolina offered more.
That's crazy that he was just like, I'm not staying.
Well, so all right, here from my vantage point, this is not at all confirmed. I am not an insider like Paul Bissonnette, but from bits and pieces of what I've heard from people that are more or less confirmed, and then me adding in my 2 cents, here's how it went down. Typical negotiations. Colorado comes low, Rantanen comes high. Colorado kind of drew their line in the sand. Rantanen continued to try and play the like negotiate game, but was like very clear, like, I want to be here, but I want 14. They're like, no, we're going to give you like 11 and a half. He's like, okay, but maybe I'll go 13 and a half. And they're like, traded. Done. And he's like, what in the absolute fuck? Goes to Carolina, and it is a complete like mind. Like he has not accepted what has happened.
That was the thing. Yeah, that's what
he is so mind fucked from this happening. He's like, how am I not in Colorado still? I'm not playing with Nate Dogg. Like, I was supposed to like retire a legend in Colorado. What is happening? Then you go and do the Four Nations thing, and that kind of throws things into the blender even more. Gets to hang out with Rupe Hintz and Sebastian Aho, and weird, Rupe Hintz won out because, I'm sorry, he's just a better player and sexier and everything you can ask for. But he's in Carolina. It's basically like, guys, I don't know. Like, I'm in such a weird place. I don't know if this is where I'm going to stay. Like, don't know what's going to happen. And they're like, well, fuck. If you don't know if you're going to stay here, we have to trade you again. He's like, God damn it. Like, what is happening? Then the team that comes up is Dallas, and he's like, all right, I've already been like jerked around a couple of times here. I'm going to a very good team, arguably the best managed team in the NHL. That's my personal opinion. And it's a no income tax state. It's a chance for me to stick it to Colorado. You know what? Fuck it. I'll do the 8x12. Let's just get this done so I can move on with my life and transition into like the next chapter. I think Carolina never had a chance to sign him because he was so blindsided by the trade. And again, I think part of it too, I don't think he was the best fit for Carolina. Like, you look at the style of play that a guy like Rod Brind'Amour commands, that's not Rantanen. Like, do you agree, disagree? Like, where am I missing on all of this, like, loop that lands him in Dallas, which, by the way, good on Tulsky for taking the swing. I also think he ended up pretty okay for it. Like, Do I think that like trading Drury, Nature's pick, whatever, to get Stankoven and 2 like deep future first round picks is ideal? Like, no. You could do a lot fucking worse for bringing in Rantanen and then realizing, oh shit, he's not going to stay. Like, getting Stankoven and 2 firsts, masterclass, because we are a big Logan Stankoven stan podcast. Shout out Caden Bank here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Everything I just said, you just pick it apart however you want.
No. So I do think it's fair because I mean, like, and I think the big part of this that does ultimately kind of answer all the questions is just the fact that, like, I wouldn't go as far to say as like Carolina never had a chance. They didn't have a chance if they weren't willing to take him to free agency.
Sure.
And I totally get not being willing to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, especially with how poorly he had played too, right? It's different if he comes and lights it up and they're like, yeah, all right, we'll ride this out and see what happens.
And like at the same time, I totally get being so blindsided by a trade. You have like a month and change to figure out if you're still adjusting, you're still in shock, you're bummed. Like, I totally get not being able to be like,
yeah,
in the immediate aftermath, commit. You're adjusting to everything, like on ice, off ice, everything like that. So I actually also understand it from that standpoint too. It's obviously right now this sucks for Carolina, but as far as what they ended up getting back, getting 2 firsts and like a top 10 prospect that's NHL ready and lights it up in his first game too, by the way, along with the other move they made, what's his face, Jankowski, in their first game for Carolina. Like, I love the fit with Stankoven too, by the way. But the fact you had 2 firsts and a legit like young
controlled
controlled asset. I just like, you know what? Like, at that point, Rantanen had like, it had been so public that he wasn't going to sign before the end of the season in Carolina anyway, and they did not want to go to free agency. It's like he's like 90% probably getting traded, even though that's crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that you get 2 firsts and you get Logan Stankoven, like, you could do significantly worse.
Oh yeah,
with a distressed asset. And again, you look at like what they gave up to get him in the first place. Like, Nate just fucking rocks.
But
I don't think they were never going to be comfortable enough to give him the big contract anyways.
And let's be real, he landed in the best possible place for him to land. It's so suited to what he brings as a player. Like, that was never going to look good for Carolina, but at the end of the day, good for him, because holy shit, he is the perfect fit over there.
That being said, what a phenomenal backhand sauce last night against Minnesota, leading to that Minnesota goal. That was the funniest fucking. I was like, what do you? He's been feeling himself in Colorado since getting there. Throws a no look backhand saucer in his own head directly into the middle of the ice. I was like, what are you doing? And then, of course, the worst shootout attempt of all time, like loses control of the puck and then never gets it back. Whatever.
That was tough. And then that's Zuccarello just like, oh, hey, triangle.
Dude, I loved his fake controller dies shootout. It's the best. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Merrick loves it too, obviously. But
yeah.
But either way, the Rantanen thing, and again, I love the fit for Rantanen in Dallas. I love the fact that they made that happen. Obviously, you lock him up long term. That's incredible. So on the face of it, you could look at it like, yeah, Carolina loses right now, but again, like, they could have done significantly worse with a major league asset.
But so I got 2 pieces to this. First, on the Carolina side, maybe controversial, but I think Carolina's in the Eastern Conference Finals even after all this shook out, because the Metro is wide fucking open. New Jersey's got their injuries, which meant they weren't going to go all in on making any additional acquisitions. They're going to dummy them in the first round. And Capitals could absolutely be for real. I am not convinced that they are notedly better than the Carolina Hurricanes, especially when it comes to a playoff brand, a Rod Brind'Amour brand of hockey. I think Carolina potentially makes it further than Dallas in the postseason, which, like, given all of this that happened and being better long-term for it, you could do a lot fucking worse. On the Dallas side, I'm curious, what is the fallout of signing Mikko Rantanen? Because you just signed him. You signed his agent mate in Wyatt Johnston. I think this summer they could potentially shop Jason Robertson. Is that a crazy statement? Because if they don't win it this year, which I'm sorry, I still think their blue line is too scary for me. But they have to add to that blue line at some point. It's Heiskanen and Harley's looked great, but like their blue line is not a championship blue line. It's not. They got to add there. They've got to pay other guys. And yet Jamie Benn comes off, but they're going to bring him back probably for cheap. But like Nils basically said, he's coming back. There's only so much money to go around. What gives? I feel like Robertson could be the odd man out. And again, masterclass from Jim Nell, like you're going to be able to stock the cupboard, whether it's with futures or another young player or something. It's going to work out great.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at it, though, I still see, I mean, even when Dadonov, however you want to say it, and Granlund come off, that's 7.25 right there. Roberts is making 7.75. Yeah, Granlund's on to $5 million.
They took that all on?
Oh, wait, maybe not. I can't get used to, I still haven't got used to Puckpedia.
Yeah.
He's listed as $5 million, straight up.
No shit. Okay.
And that's factored in because this year Rantanen, they have him like he's counting at 4.625 on their cap. So like they basically you ditch, you let Granlund Dadonov walk. You're like 500,000 away from Robertson's cap hit. Only one more year on that deal before he's an RFA, and then things get interesting. But you also have a ton of young prospects coming in anyways. So like,
all right, I could be wrong.
And like, I mean, we'll also see what happens with Tyler Seguin.
Well, no, I'm way more interested in what happens with Matt Duchene because I'm convinced they want to bring him back, and he's not coming back for $3 million again.
Right, that's true too.
It's got to be factored in. But
34 years old, you had a decision to make there. He's been awesome for them since getting there.
That is interesting. That is very interesting. But so, straight up, them and Colorado. Who wins? Oh, don't forget the Ryan Suter buyout money actually increases.
So funny. It's unbelievable.
I love it. He goes from $783K this year to $1.43 million next year.
Ridiculous, dude. It's unbelievable. CC comes off the books too.
Oh man, and he'll be off the Wild books. So like it could have been incredible if it was like peak buyout money for Minnesota overlapping with the 1.43 in Dallas. Holy shit, that's so good. Whatever, we can move on from that. Let's get real though. Dallas versus Colorado, round 1. Who wins?
Well, I still, I want to say Dallas, but like you also, I wasn't a big fan of anything Colorado had been doing until you bring in both Nelson and Coyle at the deadline.
Straight up.
So now down the middle, like that's the best they've been since they had Kadri there. That fucking.
I think long term, I hate those trades. I think that the value is way off. This year, they are a notedly better team. Their depth down the middle going, it's crazy. McKinnon, Nelson, Coyle. There goes your depth down the middle problem. If they're healthy on the blue line, the goaltending keeps firing the way it has. Like, really, my only concern for Colorado is it's a lot of moving pieces in one season. Can it all come together cohesively going into the playoffs? If yes, I'm all in on Colorado over Dallas. And like, I've been a Dallas crusher, even though I objectively don't like them. I have thought so highly of everything they've done. I think that Colorado could boat race them.
Yeah, again, at the same time, though, you get worried about Colorado's back end after Makar and Taves. Like, Gerard Manson, you don't know what you're getting game in, game out. Like, honestly, you like feel better about, like, the defensive stuff that Manson brings you versus, like, whatever. Gerard almost scored, by the way, an unbelievable OT winner against fucking Minnesota last night. But, like, they went out and they bring in, like, both Lindgren and Johnson. It's like, Johnson's a feel-good thing, like, that's awesome. Very cool.
Dude, fucking Nate Dogg came out right away and said, yeah, I don't know how much he's going to play, but it's cool to have him here.
Yeah, literally. But then you also have, like, Lindgren, like, are his, like, bones still attached to each? Like, I don't even know. Like, we don't
healthy,
know.
though, like, he's a great piece.
He's trended downward the last 2.5 years, but so I mean, we'll see. Like, at the speed they want to play with,
yeah.
Like, so outside of Makar and Taves in the back end,
yeah, but
you're a little bit worried still.
Outside of arguably the best pairing that you can have,
Mm-hmm.
like, I get what you're saying though.
But no, it's just what I'm saying. I mean, you're very worried about Dallas's back end, so.
right, and let's be real.
And then it's Ottinger versus.
I don't know how much I trust Ottinger. He's a guy that, if he's on his game, sick.
Mm-hmm.
But he's very hot cold. I don't know to what degree I trust him when, again, this is going to be an all-out, like, offensive battle between Colorado and Dallas. Can he hold up under that siege? He's capable of it for sure. Am I ready to say, like, oh yeah, he's got it? No.
And I mean, we saw what Colorado did to fucking Hellebuck last year. Oh my god.
And that becomes a real question. Like, did Winnipeg do enough?
No.
I disagree. I actually liked their deadline.
I got it from the standpoint of, like, what were they really going to do?
They wanted Brock Nelson. They didn't want to outbid Colorado, which understandable. Which, dude, apparently, I don't remember where. I think it might have been Friedman that said it, but he's like, yeah, Lou pretty much was telling people, like, you're not going to beat the offer I have, but go ahead and try.
Yeah.
Colorado aggressively overpaid. They got their guy. It helps them because it didn't go to Winnipeg. Outside of Nelson, there really wasn't a guy that they needed to go after. I felt like the guys they brought in. Shen is a depth, veteran, physical defenseman. Like it. Brandon Tanev is definition of doing a line of coke and going out and buzzing up and down the ice. Played there before. He's a great bottom six guy. They had a team that was already firing on all cylinders. Don't fuck up what's working.
Yeah.
We've seen so many teams bring in a big name and it's like, oh, chemistry's fucked. For me, if we get regular season Connor Hellebuck, Winnipeg Jets are very tough to beat.
Mm-hmm.
If we get postseason Connor Hellebuck that we've seen in the last 2 years, they're fucked. Yeah. And it really is that simple.
Yeah. No, that's where I landed. Like,
scary. Like, you don't want to play them in the playoffs. They're going to bruise the shit out of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I think for me, it was more so just like, could they pull off the Brock Nelson thing?
Right.
Obviously, they didn't. But you bring it in energy.
I want to.
Energy, bottom six, Tanev, and, like, they were one injury away from, like, having Logan Stanley play on your top 4D. Like, that's a huge problem. Obviously. So you don't want to have to do that. Yeah. So, like, you know, listen, would I have given up a second for Shen? No, but at the same time, he feels a need. I think his first game, he had 5 hits, 5 blocks. And I was like, yeah, that's the most Luke Shen stat in, like, 16 minutes. I was like, yeah, that makes, like, 1 shot attempt. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So, like, I get it. And again, like, Hellebuck, it's going to be the story. So I get it. I was just more like, are they going to do the Nelson trade? Literally, that was, like, actually realistically, like, that's the one that was like,
and
dude, they pull it off.
Would you outbid Colorado?
No chance, dude.
Fuck no. Again, love the look of Colorado's roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
That trade for Brock Nelson was fucking asinine. Unless they win the Stanley Cup or extend him and you run back McKinnon, him, and Coyle down the middle for the next couple of years. If you don't do one of those two things, awful fucking trade.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, like, Coyle's got 1 more year, so like that's fine.
But yeah, Eric Johnson, you mentioned, definitely a winner. He is so happy to be back in Colorado.
Yeah, it was like that was like a feel good. It was like a feel good happy, like whatever.
Yeah, kind of like Sidney Crosby getting Jack Johnson a 5 by 3.25 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with the feel goods.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we've hit a lot of the major stuff. Here, actually, the most important question, and it's going somewhere. Who's going to win the Pacific? Feels like a 2-horse race.
I mean, it feels like Vegas is just going to do it.
Decent chance Edmonton could pass them.
I love bringing in Wallman. They
didn't need to do much at the deadline. They just need to like settle out and play fucking hockey.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're close enough, and Vegas, like, they're doing fine, but they didn't bring anything in, right?
Yeah, like Riley Smith is back, baby.
Can you imagine Edmonton winning the Pacific and getting the Minnesota Wild first round? Is there a shittier feeling than looking down the barrel at the one team that has given you fits if you get Ek, Brodin, and Kaprizov healthy? They do not want that. They're like, fuck it. We'll take second seed. We'll play LA and beat them in 6 games again. Move on.
We'll just stick to the script. We'll stick to the script.
I'm going to go as bold as to say, if the Wild play Vegas, they get their shit kicked in. Wild play Edmonton, it could be a 7-gamer, and I don't know who takes it. And I think that is the sneaky number 4 elite matchup for the first round. If we get Florida, Tampa, Ottawa, Toronto, Dallas, Colorado, and then you get Minnesota, Edmonton. Oh, dude. That's just so fun. Like, I will be all fucking in if it's Edmonton, Minnesota first round. I will convince myself that the Wild are going to win a round. I will convince myself.
At that point, then we go back to the speed conversations like, fuck.
That goes poorly, but guess what? All you need is Brodin to match up with McDavid. That's all you need.
So we need him to be alive.
Correct. Yeah, if Brodin's not in, this entire conversation is moot. Like, this is purely predicated on him, Ek, and Kaprizov all being healthy with at least like 4 regular season games to go.
I'm like, all right, Brodin's there. Okay, Zeev, you are in, and you have just signed a $8 by $14 million contract.
I mean, Brock Faber did it.
Yeah, like just do that. Like, it's not
hard.
To
me though, it's straight up. You split them up. You have Brodin matched with McDavid. You have Faber matched with Draisaitl. If they're playing together, then do whatever the fuck you want. But like, I think there is a real world that the Minnesota Wild can win a 7-game series against Edmonton. And I don't think there's a single other team that they could realistically match up with that they have a shot in hell against. I don't.
You don't?
Do you think that they can beat Vegas, Dallas, Colorado, or Winnipeg? Because those are the only other teams they can play. And I think there's no fucking chance.
I wouldn't go as far as say no fucking chance. I want to see them healthy again. But
all right. No fucking chance, meaning less than 20% chance that they could win that series.
Yeah.
It's hockey. Anyone can win any fucking series, but like, no, they can't beat those other teams. They can't. Edmonton, I would be confident. I would be weirdly confident. What do the Wild need? Because they can't fucking score goals? A leaky defense and a very questionable goalie.
Yeah. They
can withstand the blows from Draisaitl and McDavid. They've got the blue line, they've got the goalie, and they've got the disciplined, like, middle 6 forward identity. They can beat Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vegas bludgeons them. And it really is more likely between those two teams. Like, while they're going to be a wild card, they're probably going to be the higher wild card. If they drop to the bottom one and get Winnipeg, well, fuck, we're going to get bludgeoned. But dude, I think Edmonton could be a really, really fun matchup.
Either way, the first round all around is like we are like
the only matchup that no one cares about is going to be whoever gets in last, which they'll care because fuck, if it's Columbus, that'd be so cool. Columbus against Washington. It's such a boring like matchup on paper, but because of like what Ovechkin's doing this year, because of Blue Jackets overcoming what they did, people will turn it into a cool series.
Oh, it will be a cool series. Just like everyone's all in on the barn in Columbus. If they make the playoffs, oh my God. Like the couple of years that they did make the playoffs, that place is fucking rocking.
The cannon is a relic. It won't even fire.
They'll just start firing it.
Flemish Mega Ball. But yeah, so many good matchups. Honestly, I probably won't even watch Edmonton versus LA if that happens.
It's scripted.
Like,
it's written.
I've seen it too many times. I'm over it now. If LA takes a lead at any point in the series, like okay, I'll tune in, see what happens. But outside that, meh. Same with like dude, Winnipeg versus Calgary does jack shit for me.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I need Utah to sneak in because they're at least like a slippery, fun team. Are they going to beat Winnipeg? No. But at least they're fun. Like Calgary is very boring.
Yeah.
Good for them, but
speaking of Utah, and this is a full roundabout. You had also mentioned earlier, would love to see Marner get moved there or like sign there
with his best friend Brad.
Yeah, that Utah-Toronto game 2 nights ago. Phenomenal picture of Benoit going for the Superman punch.
Yeah.
But if you hit play on the rest of that video, he gets his head caved in. He didn't land that punch, first of all. And then he just got teed off on. And like I took screenshots throughout the fight too. Like obviously what's his face didn't throw a Superman punch, but there were a few punches that he threw so hard he was in the air. So like if you take screenshots of both of them throwing punches, at one point both of them are in orbit, punching each other in the face. Kesselring, that's what it is. He rocked, by the way. I love Kesselring.
I mean, he's literally the love child of Phil winning championships.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. But also, I was so hopeful, dude. Like Toronto was kicking the fucking shit out of it. It was 3-0, and all of a sudden Utah came storming back. And the third period and overtime was all Utah, and like that barn was rocking. The scoring chances they had were unbelievable. Like they dominated that overtime and third period. I was so hoping that they would make it happen. Of course, they lose in the shootout, but God, it was such a fun game to watch. But like, that's gonna be that. Like, that's a Hall of Fame picture of the Benoit Superman punch. Like, it's an incredible picture. And it was very funny that he just like didn't land that one or any other punches. And guess rings teed off. I was like, oh fuck. Like, no one's gonna remember that though. Everyone's gonna remember the picture of him in orbit. he jumped so high in the air. He was so high in the air.
Dude, did you see the freaking was it Benoit in the box, like putting his thumb back in place?
Yeah. Dude, I was like, how'd you do that?
That was
it. Another fight that happened since last time we recorded. Matty Nyes.
Oh yeah.
Opening face-off against Vegas. Poor Zach Whitecloud had no clue.
He had to have had a clue.
Well, he got hit
with revenge.
He got hit with the reverse left. Like he grabbed on with like
he didn't know Nyes was a lefty. I'll give you that.
And then like those first three that Nyes threw, like they were short, but like that's where you just have all the power. It was on the button. I was like, oh my God, he has a family, dude. Like, Jesus Christ.
Power ranking the guys you need out of Toronto.
Matty Nyes is like,
he's got to be top 3.
He might be like 1.
I love him so much.
Oh.
I regularly forget that he's in Toronto because I just like ignore Toronto instinctively. And man, I need
just
him to be
tune
on a
into their
team I can cheer
meltdowns.
for. I need him to be on a team I can cheer for because I love him so much. I would give things up to bring him into Pittsburgh, and I know Kyle Dubas would too. So the fact that it hasn't happened means it won't happen. So I need Bill Guerin to do the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, Kyle.
And let me see. Any other teams that we wanted to at least mention or worth mentioning?
Is there anyone that like completely fumbled the bag besides the Predators and Canucks? I was surprised Vegas didn't do more. That's just out of character for them, but like it's kind of refreshing. I love how everyone was immediately talking though about how like, any player they've drafted is very scared right now.
Yeah, right.
Like,
don't
expect to stay.
I was surprised by the lack of any activity outside of one really weird move with Detroit.
Yeah, they're not good.
They move out.
They're out.
Veleno and bring in Craig Smith and Peter Mrazek. Let's get more goalies.
What if they traded
more goalies?
What if they brought Wallman back?
that
would have been electric. Yeah, I gotta say this is not an original thought. I've had thoughts similar, but someone teed this up perfectly, and I can't even give proper credit 'cause I can't remember who said it. But imagine at the NHL draft, whoever the Vegas Golden Knights select, they just put like a big question mark as the crest on the jersey. Like, we don't know where you're gonna end up, but it's not gonna fucking be here.
They're gonna give them the NHL, the EA like created team, like the blank template. They're like, we don't know where you're gonna be. And like,
so they hand them a marker, just draw, like, guess where you're gonna end up.
They're gonna be like, wait, holy fuck, we haven't traded Trevor Connolly yet? You're good for another 6 months.
Everyone assumed that he was gonna be packaged with a first to bring.
It's unbelievable. That was like, well, obviously they'll do that. So, and it's like, oh my god, like they don't give a fuck. They actually hate these kids.
Oh,
like for me, like Detroit, like it was just like they made themselves worse. Like
they just already weren't great, and they continue to not be great. And I like, call me a hater if you want. I don't think there's really a plan anymore. It's just Yzer.
Just the eyes, dude.
The Yzer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought they would do like a couple of really small things, but they did one
insignificant thing.
And like
they brought in a goalie when they've already got 12 of them.
Well, it's also like Mrazek's having one of the worst, like as far as the stats go, like one of the worst seasons of his career.
Dude, it's crazy. Someone on the Athletic is like, yeah, this is a great move to bring in a guy like Mrazek. I'm like, wait, what?
For the comedy factor of bringing in 900 goalies. we have just as many goaltenders under contract as defensemen.
Dude, it'd be a crazy game to play. What teams has Peter Mrazek played for?
There's
a lot. There's a lot.
There are a couple other really good. Well, dude,
we had to do repeats too, like go in order.
Dude, I was going through because there's a couple guys like this. I think Luke
usually not goalies though, dude. Usually not goalies.
No, I know. But Luke Schenn, I think, has been on 7 hockey teams in the past 10 years.
Let me think on this one. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 easy. I just came up with 5 without even having to think. Which ones am I missing?
Yeah,
all right, let me think here for a second. Luke Schenn.
Oh, wait. Oh, my God. If I go 10 years, it's even more.
It's more than 7.
Hold on. Wait.
Holy shit.
So since, what was it? So since 2014, 15. Okay.
How many?
9.
Now in the 9, are there repeats or no?
There are repeats, but that would have made it
Fuck.
11. This
Holy
is
shit, dude.
crazy, dude.
All right, I need a second here. So, Luke Shen. I had 5
Let me
really
double
fast,
check my
and
math.
I have stalled out hard going past the 5. Oh boy.
It is 9.
So I'm a little over halfway there. Wow. What the fuck? All right.
Which, to be fair, he's played on 9. Now I look at it. There's been a couple repeats, so he's played on 9 teams in his whole career too. But those 9 teams have happened in the last 10 years.
I still don't know if I can come up with the 9. So I've got.
There's one that you will. I don't remember a single game that he played there.
How long was he there?
He was there for 8 games.
Yeah, fuck me.
In the NHL.
Oh, sorry, 6. Did he have to play a game or just be part of the organization?
Oh, well, if he just being part of the organization, then it is 10.
Okay, so Pittsburgh's not part of the 9.
Which is even more than insane.
Okay, so I'm still at 5 then. All right. I have currently
I think there's
2 Atlantic,
3
2
that you will
Central.
never get.
I have 2 Atlantic, 2 Central, and a Pacific that I came up with immediately, and now I am like flatlining. Are there any Metro teams?
Yes.
There is. Fuck. Where did he play in the Metro?
To give you a clue, I'm surprised you don't know.
Philly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's 1 that I didn't have before, so I'm at 6 now. How many in the Atlantic? Just narrowing down how far off I am. Because I got 2. Just 2?
Mm-hmm.
Toronto, Tampa. Let's move on.
It's the Pacific that you're going to be like, wait, what?
Yeah, the Pacific's probably going to break my brain. Okay. Central. I got 2.
Central, there is... Three. To give you another clue, one of the teams just got added to the Central, and it was
He played for Arizona?
for 2 years.
Am I crazy for not remembering that he ever existed in Arizona?
Nope, I don't remember. That's another team. I don't remember a single game. Do you want me to just list them off now?
Okay, so Arizona, Winnipeg, Nashville. So now we are at 6 total out of the 9. There's 3 in the Pacific. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, all right. I've got 1. No, I can't.
All right.
I can't confidently come up with another one. Is LA one?
Yep.
I pulled that out of my ass, but it just felt right.
Played in LA for 43 games.
43 games. Okay, so there, Vancouver. What the fuck's the third? I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, no, this is the one that I was like, I don't remember anything. Can I just rattle off the fucking teams now?
Go for it. The only one I didn't get was the last Pacific. And granted, 2 of them I got via hint from you, but.
So starting with 14-15, he played in Philly the whole year. 15-16, Philly. Then he played in LA for 43 games. 16-17 and 17-18, he played in Arizona. 18-19, he played 8 games for the Anaheim Ducks.
Really?
And then the rest of the season in San Diego and Utica.
Holy shit.
And then he finished the last 18 games of 18-19 in Vancouver. 19-20 goes to Tampa Bay, wins a cup. 2021, Tampa Bay wins a cup. 2021-22 and 22-23 plays in Vancouver. Gets traded to Toronto for 15 games. Signs in Nashville for 23-24. Gets traded to Pittsburgh for literally a day and a half, and now he's in Winnipeg.
I think we came up with our new game show for this podcast. Pick a random player We literally have to set up the timeline like he was with a team for these years, or these games. And just like, oh my God, I would have.
So you want to know why
not for your hints, I would have gotten 6 out of 9.
The only reason I remembered the 40 whatever games he played in LA, it's because he was the piece that got traded from Philly to LA. The big piece was Vincent Lecavalier. So he's part of that trade. And also he got traded from Toronto to Philly straight up for JVR. That was the first time he got moved.
Ooh, what?
Mm-hmm. So he got drafted 5th overall by Toronto. Played there for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Got traded to Philly straight up for JVR.
Was that early?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was traded that early from Toronto. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was there longer. Damn.
Yep.
Huh. Attaboy Berkey.
You want to know? And like another guy that's been on a million teams recently, Tyler Toffoli.
He's been everywhere, but I can probably get most of
You
him.
can get all of them.
I love him though.
Dude, since getting traded in 20.
It's funny though.
First trade to Vancouver, he's been on 16.
I mean, he's been on every Canadian team
since 2020. He's been on 6 hockey teams.
So credit to Biz. He said this, and it like for a second, I'm like, you idiot. I'm like, wait, no, that's actually pretty smart. He basically said that Brock Besser is a pretty boy version of Tyler Toffoli.
He's gonna give you like 20,
they are
25,
goal scoring
30.
merchants, and they don't really do much else.
Mm-hmm.
But Toffoli's fun. I've always liked him.
Yeah,
I would love to see move to a different team, preferably a team that I enjoy. I need Adrian Kempe out of LA,
mm-hmm.
who I just learned this year is Swedish. You don't remember talking about that?
Yeah.
I had no idea he was Swedish. But yeah, that's
there's one other guy that I always laugh when he gets traded.
Oh no.
He's been on 8 teams since 2017-18.
What position?
Center / mostly center.
Current team.
Winnipeg.
Center. I don't know.
Vlad Nemesnikov.
He's got that. I thought of him right away. I'm like, he hasn't been on that many teams. He's been on.
So a couple of years ago when he got traded at the deadline for depth scoring to Colorado, I was so excited. I was like, this is my new Thomas Vanek.
How many teams did you say?
He's been on 8 teams.
I think I have 5 and not even fully confident in all 5. What the fuck?
Let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, 7. Oh wait, no, 8.
So I'm 3 short, and I'm not even confident in all 5. Actually, yeah, one of them I'm very unconfident in. I'm confident in half. Where all has he fucking been?
Oh wait, one's a repeat, so 7.
Where has he been?
There's a couple that you're like gonna be like, oh fuck.
Well, I'm counting on that.
Which is nuts because this is his 3rd year in Winnipeg. Which is also very funny. This is great podcasting.
I've for sure got 2 Central Division guys. I've for sure got 2 Atlantic. I've already spaced. Oh, there was a third Central. Am I wrong on that? I probably have the wrong Central team though. Maybe. So that's the 5 that I originally had. How many Metro and Pacific are there?
0 Pacific. And then Metro, there's 1.
I don't even have a guess for the Metro as of right now.
Really?
No. Where did he fucking play in the Metro? I mean, I guess I'll go with just the racist guess. Washington.
No.
I have no idea, dude.
All right, I'm going to rattle them off.
Well, all right. Atlantic, I've got Detroit, Tampa. Who else in the Atlantic? Am I missing?
Yeah, the one of them that you're like, oh my God, is Ottawa.
I was going to say Ottawa just for the oh my God, but I wasn't very confident in that. But Ottawa, I would have gone with.
Wait, who'd you say, sorry?
I said Detroit, Tampa.
Detroit, Tampa, Ottawa. Yep.
So who's the Metro?
The Metro is just the Rangers.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. I probably should have had that. Okay, so there's 4. I got 2, I guess arguably 3. I have 3 in the Central, which that rounds it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the 2 obvious ones are Winnipeg, Colorado, and then is it Nashville? I don't know then.
Dallas.
When was he in Dallas?
So 2021-22, he played 15 games in Dallas.
No shit.
Dude, literally, like, it is crazy. So 17-18, he started in Tampa, went to New York. Was in New York for 2.5 years. 2019-20 goes to Ottawa for 14 games. 54 games. My mouse is in the wrong spot. Gets moved to Colorado with a deadline, plays 9 games there. Signs in Detroit, plays a year and a half in Detroit. Goes to Dallas for 15 games. Then signs in Tampa Bay. Then gets traded to Winnipeg. He's been there since. It's an absolute suitcase.
Rangers, I feel bad about. I should have remembered that, but I blocked it from my memory because fuck them. Ottawa would have been my guess for one more in the Atlantic, but that's cheating, like, because you told me there was one more in the Atlantic, so I don't count that. And Dallas, I would have never gotten.
Yeah.
So outside that, okay, fun.
I love whatever. Like I have these players in my head. I'm like, because when at the end of Van Ek's career, I was like, he's the mercenary. Like we need like a third line guy that somehow scores 20 every year.
Did he play for?
He did a bunch of repeats.
Oh, sure.
So like I think by the end it was like.
I can come up with 5 or 6, I think.
In totality, he's played for Jesus Christ. Buffalo,
Detroit, Minnesota, Vancouver.
There's a couple. Oh my God. I'll give you a clue. He played on 3 teams in 2013-14.
Holy shit.
We can't keep doing this on the podcast, dude.
Yeah, we're moving on from this one. Just say
So 13-14, obviously he was still in Buffalo. Went to the Islanders for 47 games, lit it up, 44 points. Then he went to Montreal for 18 games.
Nope, never would have guessed Montreal. Islanders, I admit I maybe should have remembered.
I remembered him in fucking Montreal because that was the Bruins series. Oh my God. Minnesota for 2 years. Then he went to Detroit. Then he went to, you'll never remember this one, Florida for 20 games.
Florida felt like, if you just like made me random guess, Florida is one of the ones that I had there where I was like, God, that feels right, but I don't know. Again, Montreal, not even close to my radar. Not even close.
Then he went to Vancouver in 2017-18. Again, 41 points in 61 games. Same season, gets traded to Columbus, 15 points in 19 games. And then he goes back to Detroit, 36 points in 64 games. He retired.
He played for Columbus?
Yeah, for 19 games and in the playoffs, dude.
Well, okay. Yeah, we're done with this game. This hurts.
That was 20 minutes.
I am in concussion protocol, and we have to wrap up the show because it wouldn't be Judd'z Budz if we didn't say something about a prospect. So, everyone, shout out to our friends, MNW Prospects. You can find them as MNW Prospects or MNW Young Guns, depending on Twitter, X, Facebook, whatever. Z, we got 2 guys for sure we have to talk about, even though it'll be brief. First one. Aron Kiviharju signs a 2-year extension in Finland. Is this Bill Guerin's fault? Does he hate the Wild and just never wants to come here?
That's got to be it. It's got to be it. Yeah, no, the right move. Again, let him play more pro hockey. He's not ready to play in the NHL whatsoever, obviously. And like, I'd rather have him play pro hockey in Finland, where he's going to continue to have to play like some like really like in the mud, slow hockey, where like it can't be all offense. There's a lot of intangibles. So continue to let him grow there. That's fine. 2 years, that's great. Let him play pro hockey for 2 years before he comes over.
Yeah, for anyone that was at all bothered or concerned by this, very normal. He needs more time. And I don't know, Z, unless there's like some big, like 6'7", really slow player that Boston has that they want to trade for him. Maybe we should bring him over and rush him into the NHL too quick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just an idea. But we got feels like it's going to be the weekly segment now. And again, kudos to Z, who firmly had this player as a first-round talent in the recent NHL draft. I believe you had him as high as like 26 or 27 at times in your rankings, and the Minnesota Wild get him deep. Ryder Ritchie. He is doing fun things.
Yeah. He's continuing to light it up with Medicine Hat, who like they score at will.
What a fun name, by the way.
Ryder.
Not even a team name. No, Medicine Hat.
Medicine Hat. Yeah. Both. Both, dude.
Yeah,
but like,
he's a sweet name.
We've mentioned him recently a few times just because he just continues to produce with Medicine Hat. So both games this week, like 5-2 against Kelowna, is +2 with a goal, 5 shots on net. Then Friday with a 7-1 win over Red Deer, he gets a hat trick, 2 more assists, so 5 points, +4, 5 shots on net, first star of the game. So he's up to 59 points in 49 games this year. And again, like that comes off like the start of the year, he had like 1 point through 10 or 11. And since then, I do think it's about 5, maybe 6 games where he hasn't registered at least 1 point. But like he's playing with a ton of confidence, and when he's playing with confidence, he's so fun to watch. Just like so slippery with the puck, so high skilled, plays at a high pace, and like just makes plays happen. Can score himself. He's got a really nice shot. Like he's so fun to watch, and like Medicine Hat's probably the funnest team to watch in WHL too. And they're still doing this without Caden Lindstrom. Hasn't played a single game this year. So very fun team. If anyone has the opportunity to watch the WHL, like Medicine Hat should be very high up on your list of teams to check out. Like Gavin McKenna, Ryder Ritchie, like they are unbelievable.
Are they the favorite for the Mem Cup?
They're up there. Probably. There's a couple teams like Calgary. The Calgary's really like Kalen Parker in Calgary. Like they're really playing well. Ben Kindle, another guy that's going to go. Well, I'll be curious to see where he goes this summer in the draft. I love this player. He's popped off this year. He's got 90 points. But they made some moves too. Now that Tkachuk's healthy again, like they've got scoring in the back end, it's got scoring up front. They play super hard. They're a tough team to play against. That's another team to watch for sure.
No, dude, Tkachuk's kind of a bum if you ask Hockey Canada, but
yeah.
Also,
that's what they're saying. Yeah,
is Kindle a low key nerdy name?
I think so, dude. Like you have to think.
Go read a book on Amazon, you nerd.
Okay, brutal. But like in the OHL, shocking. London is, I mean, let me pull up their record actually. Oh, dude, they've played 63 games this year. They've won 52 of them. Like they're fucking eviscerating everybody.
Okay, but wins per dollar has to be really low.
They've scored 305 goals. Like they are just torching the OHL. So I mean, obviously them, Brantford's in the first in their conference in the East. But yeah,
Brantford Winstonworth.
Brantford, they just got that team. They were oh my god, where were they before? Hamilton. But yeah. But WHL is just a funner brand of hockey.
You're from Mass. I assumed you would have known that reference.
I didn't hear you. I wasn't even.
Brantford Winstonworth?
Oh, no.
The ultimate lax bro.
Oh, fuck off. Dude. Yeah. Okay.
This is my favorite spoon. Its name is Fluffy. Gonna go out back and do some GBs.
Oh God. I hate it, dude.
What's up, bros? Care to lax?
It's just awful. It really is just terrible. Oh my God.
I'm gonna legally change my kid's name to Brantford Winstonworth.
It's just an insane decision. Let's see.
He'll probably get jobs with like a law firm just because of his name. Like, oh yeah, you come from money.
Fuck. Yeah. They're like, you probably have you already work here, probably, right? Okay, great.
You know what? That's a sick name. Can we put it up on the door?
Can you add LLC to that? Like you know, I don't know. You're a company. You are the firm. You're everything. You own us now. You're president of the country. I don't know. I got nothing else.
Fair enough. I think we've said plenty. We've probably said too much, especially when it comes to people who have played way too many places. That game show ended as quickly as it started because you basically burned out the best options for us to actually play with. So,
I've got some old school ones too. I've got a couple good ones.
Okay, dude, tell me, what teams did Petteri Newman play for?
Oh, fuck off. I'm not going. I can't pull that. Okay, I can't pull that one back.
There's only two.
I was gonna say. I was like, I remember two, but I was like, wait a minute, this feels like a trick question. And then as I started talking, I was like, it's a trick question.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I'll give you a strong hint. Some might refer to them as sisters.
Yeah. Well, I would never.
Well, they're expansion sisters.
Oh God, there was another one actually that I really enjoyed breaking out.
Hint: Mikko Koivu played for the same two teams.
Finland.
That one still gets people angry.
Yeah, they really get pissed off.
That jersey might be the greatest decision that Isha and I have ever made.
Yeah, that's a great jersey. I mean, it's a great jersey.
If I ever go to another Minnesota versus Columbus game, that will be worn.
Mm-hmm. As it should.
Actually, I take it back. I'm going to wear a suit, and whoever's sitting next to me, I'm just going to punch him in the gut. Assuming Dean's still there. Love you, Dean.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else. We did go 2 hours, so
back to normal. Thank God we didn't have comments disrupting this one because it would have gone 5 hours. But yeah, we will be back on the live stream Schneid next week. This week we just ran into some conflicts, primarily for myself. So apologies, but
it worked out.
Yeah, I texted you and you're like, thank fucking God.
I was like, fuck. Ridiculous, dude. But anyways, yeah, we'll be back live next week, and we're gonna I think we were playing either next week or the week after. We're dipping back into we're gonna start doing draft stuff.
Top 10 lists for different regions, leagues for the draft. Yeah. I think we're doing that this coming week. Z, who do we start with?
Sweden.
We're starting with the hometown region.
That's right. It's gonna be
tough.
It's gonna be a tough.
We've got a total of 2
around.
players to talk about. Got it.
Yeah. It's oh God.
Is it bad that I can only confidently name 2 right now?
No. There's
how many first rounders will be from Sweden?
I bet. Well, from Sweden or playing out of Sweden?
Players that you'll include for Sweden.
Okay. I think there's like 2 that are a lock, and then
I've got those 2.
There's
Should I know the other one? Should I know the other two?
We've talked about one.
Damn it. Do I know that he's Swedish? That's the real question.
First ranking we ever like our way too early one. He was very high. He was top 10. He's fallen off a cliff. Want me to just tell you?
Yeah, kind of.
Jacob East Wozniak.
Oh yeah.
Technically, he's half Swedish, half Australian.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, fucking rules.
Nope, we're saving him strictly for the Australian list.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, the other two are probably top 10 picks, right?
Definitively top 10 picks.
Definitively.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that could be fun. What's the punishment if either of them falls outside the top 10?
Well, I didn't know there's gonna be a follow-up question.
All right. We will see you all next week. Sorry for this.
Yeah, I mean, if you're still here, like actually, this is your fault. You should go to jail, to be honest with you. Like,
message us, let us know on Twitter, tag us or DM us directly, and just be like, I made it to the end. I hate you.
When I was doing this by myself, whenever I'd have a 2.5 hour one, I'd like hour 2 and 10 minutes. I would be like, if you're still here, the code word is this. Like, I would just throw out a random word, and it would be something probably like.
All right, tell you what,
aggressively yelling at me, but it's fine.
Just post on the Twitter/X everything platform. Tag Z and or myself, and just say Spumoni.
That's good. It's Spumoni. That's it. That's the word. That's a great way to end it.